Versus our politicians fighting. How do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
All right, welcome to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, today joined by Tim O'Connor on the radio today.
And Kevin, I'm so glad to be back, man. Listen, I've been doing this job in Connecticut, and I have not had time to join you on the radio show in any way, shape, or form. And it's been such a depressing situation, but here I am today, guys. I'm back.
Yeah,
you missed me, admit it.
I'm sure they did, folks. And again, if you want to call in, say how much you missed Tim O'Connor, give us a call, 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. Or live here on WYSL until 2 p.m. So again, give us a call if you want to chat with whatever's on your mind today. And of course, shout out to all of our friends listening online too on the Free Solution Facebook page, YouTube channel, group, the Kevin Wilson pages, the Tim O'Connor pages, wherever you're listening today. Appreciate you. And we got Robert on Facebook as well, who's excited to see you, Tim.
I know, I love that guy. He's a good guy, man.
Yeah,
he's sticking to his guns, though. That's what's important in today's political environment. He was much maligned and abused by the local county officials, and they literally stole his property. They did some awful things to him, man. Yeah. And the newspapers, they talked him down. And he is still fighting for his property back. And that's the kind of thing that we got to do to make changes, guys. So we got to stay consistent.
Right on. Yeah. And there's without going too much more into it. Yeah. There's look up Tim's talked to Robert on his page before. So make sure you check that out.
SaveTheForestFarm.com, guys. Check it out.
Yeah. And all right. So a couple things we're going to talk about today. I was going to talk about the conversation started to end with on Monday's show. So we'll talk about the health commissioner stuff. We'll talk about the some inflation things. We'll talk about I had something else too.
I want to talk about kitty litter in schools, bro.
We'll talk about the kitty litter stuff.
we got to get that out.
We'll talk about that. And then that's right. The federal government pressuring social media companies, which somehow I haven't talked about on this show yet.
We gotta talk about what's going on. Alex Berenson's back on Twitter, right? He sued his way back on.
Yeah.
We got to talk about that.
The health commissioner. I want to talk about the health commissioner thing a little bit. I talked about it a bit on Monday, and I know you have some thoughts on this. Maybe not specific to Monroe County, but the health commissioner Michael Mendoza got reappointed to another 6-year term. And I kind of ended again. I think health commissioners probably have a lot less direct power than you think they do. They have the ability to make recommendations, and I'm gonna let you get to your point. I can hear you huffing and puffing already. But my general thought is they have a lot of money. They have a lot of power to spend money, but not a lot of power to directly shut stuff down in most situations. Usually they make recommendations for whatever to shut down, except for in some specific health related cases, they can shut some stuff down, but hospitals and a couple other things. But for the most part, they don't have as much power as you think they do. Yeah. And again, I have mixed feelings. There's some things I disagreed with on the county level, how they approach COVID. Some things I do agree with. Some things, they're more moderate than some of the other folks out there. But I think there's plenty of criticism to be had. And again, if I had a policy recommendation around county health commissioners, it's mostly we should probably just move this over into a private entity and spend less money on it. That's
all right. So I love that. Let me make a broad-based sweeping criticism of all the county commissioners and the county health commissioners who nominally participated with the COVID regime. I like to believe, and I like to advocate for the concept that on the local level, that our commissioners, guys, that we have powers in our counties that are being abrogated and dished off to New York State. So my local county health commissioner made several recommendations based on a metric called abundance of caution. Okay, not any health metrics. Okay, we have 0 cases. The kids that have been exposed to COVID knowingly were quarantined, and they were canceling sports all over the place. all the time. And guys, my kid changed schools just simply to play sports. And luckily, we were in a position where that could work. Like his mom lives in a different town. And then they still started shutting down the sports that he participates in. It was very frustrating. It was embarrassing. And the metrics that they used were emotional. I want to believe that they don't have to do that they can actually use real metrics, that they can actually have real conversations, and they can push back against the authoritarian regime that's ever present in these state of emergencies. Okay, so that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Kevin, how do you feel about
No,
that?
no. Well, I don't totally disagree with you on a lot of stuff. Again, and a lot of times it's okay. A lot of this stuff does come from like the state too. Like that's something to keep in mind. Like the state health commissioner, the governor, like that type of stuff. Like that's where a lot of this came from, right? Which is then easy to be like, oh, like it's so hard to like go after that person who's higher up. It's so distant from you. Like county health commissioners, an easier target, and sometimes maybe more local decisions should get made, but that's usually not how it works. The other thing too is the influence they have, right? Like
Right.
people want to trust the public health apparatus. I think that trust has eroded pretty significantly over the last couple years.
You think?
Yeah,
I mean,
just
come on.
a teeny bit, because
You're
like
understating
either
that. You're
yeah,
right.
either like poor communication, the misrepresentation sometimes of like the level of danger that was there for folks. Like that frustrated and made people like infuriated. And then again, even if they don't directly exert that power, I think kind of to your point that we were talking about before the show, and kind of what you're making here is even where they don't have the ability to directly shut something down, if their influence is causing a negative action to happen, like sports being shut down, even when there's a pretty good chance that kids would be able to do that safely, then then that's not good, and that's worthy of criticism. If they're even if they can't directly shut something down in every case, if they can exert that influence in a way that is destructive or that attempts to create the realm of perfect safety that isn't achievable, then that's bad, and that's worthy of criticism.
You're hitting the high points of the things I criticize, right? Like a safety that is promised by the government is a pseudo promise. It's a false promise, and we have to take these things into our own hands. So I mean, I offered my kid I'd take him out of state for weekends to do his favorite sport in the winter. He was, not inclined to do those things, so that's fine.
Mhm.
But I do pay taxes, and part of the taxes I pay is for the ability of my kid to participate in sports. Like that's a real thing. And the fear-based representation that we received, and I'm just going to throw this another broad-based statement. I am actually and absolutely in favor of throwing out every elected official and every state department official and every local official after the mishandling of the COVID regime and the authoritarian nonsense that we all had to put up with for 2 years, just in hopes of better times for everyone. That's my reality.
Every single one, just
not Jose Pio, because I enjoyed that guy, and he was not. He kind of stood up when other people weren't, and John Salka also stood up when other people weren't. So but Salka got gerrymandered out of his position anyway. But so there's a few notable exceptions to that rule. But there's a Patrick Burke guy out near you guys. This clown should go. He should be gone. Somebody should be running against him and get rid of him. Orchard Park.
Wow.
He was awful. He authored the bill where if you get COVID, you don't get health coverage. Your health bill can deny you. And I'm like, fine, right? Like, let me buy the health insurance policy that I want to buy. Okay. But you forced me into a heavily regulated market. And for you to now try to exempt me from COVID coverage if I get the sniffles and I want to go get some cheap, treatment. That's nonsense. And people that think like that are authoritarians and dangerous to our democracy. That's a reality.
Yeah, and again, there's that overreaction, right? Like that. Like again, I'm pro-vaccine, but like some people who are like, yeah, if you don't get vaccinated and you get sick, it's all your fault, and you shouldn't get. I'm like, no, come on, that's monstrous. Don't do that. And then again, people who got the vaccine got sick too. Like it's a thing. That's not a good way to do that, especially when you're paying for a service with the expectation that, and that's
expensive service. It's
health
insurance is incredibly expensive. We didn't fix that problem. Nobody's fixed that problem. Libertarians would fix that problem. We would.
Like there's some great policy reforms that we could do to like healthcare and health insurance and all that stuff that would help. And folks like Larry Sharp have talked about them. But that's that sort of like approach, that sort of mentality is exactly why like I cannot ever, I think, get behind like a single payer system or a socialized healthcare system, because then then it is government policy, right? Then they could say, oh yeah, if you're doing this thing and you're not taking care of your health, well, that's a liability for us, so we're not going to cover you for these diseases. Like whoa, hey, whereas in the market, you get put into a risk pool with those certain behaviors, and you might have to pay more depending on that situation, but you can find an insurance program that works for you. And again, we have the worst of both worlds when it comes to healthcare in the United States, right? It's massive, expensive bureaucracy. And
good news, Kevin, and I want to get your take on it. Like the Medicare, Medicaid system is now able to negotiate prices on medicine. What do you think? Like it sounds so wonderful. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I think somehow everything is going to get so much more expensive. Like,
as an
like in theory, like it's not supposed to do that, right?
Yeah.
Like it's supposed to prevent that type of stuff, but like somehow the government's going to end up paying just absolutely massive amounts of money for all this stuff.
As an economics person with a degree, like I'm a certified economics person, I should hang my degree on the wall just so that everybody knows I am serious about economics. But everyone does know what price controls have done to things like gas markets, and I think the government being able to negotiate is a price control, and I'm scared about shortages.
Yeah, real quick, and I want to follow up with that after a break, but we do have to go to a break. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Give us a call if you want to participate in the show, 585-346-3000, 585-346-3000. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Hey, this is Kevin Wilson, host of A Free Solution. You ever needed a tool for just one project, but didn't want to spend the cash for something you'd use just once or twice? Well, there's a new tool library in Rochester where you can borrow just the thing you need instead of buying a new one. It's called the Tool Shed from the Southeast Area Coalition, and membership starts at just $25 a year. Use it for home projects or to support your business. Learn more and become a member at seektoolshed.org. That's SEAC toolshed.org.
Only available in the WISL store at WISL1040.com. Official top quality tees, hoodies, and coffee mugs depicting the colorful WISL logo or the already famous Mount Worstmore line of merch depicting Mount Rushmore style are for worst presidents. Of course, you know who is front and center up on that mountain. WISL official items make perfect gifts, or they're a great way for you to make a personal statement. Locally produced and sold only in the WISL store at WISL1040.com.
A Free Solution on the WYSL stations.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor, here live on the radio. Yeah, he's here.
It's good stuff, man. I miss doing the show. I love doing the show. I'm so much better, more comfortable at doing a live radio show when I've got a sharp guy like you keeping an eye on the things that occasionally my brain can't keep track of, which is like timing and things of that nature. I'm not. It puts me off.
Between the two of us, we make one whole brain there. We're
fair enough.
We'll cover all the points.
Yeah.
So I wanted to follow up on your point about price controls, right? Because that is a good point, right? Like all right, if the government's forcing, these companies or negotiating to set the prices at a lower level, right, what happens to the rest of the market? Either you end up with a shortage of those goods because the prices end up artificially low. Now, in theory, this is a
Correct.
negotiation, not a threat, although in practice, it may end up looking a bit more like the latter
threat.
than.
And when the government is backing the negotiation, how can we not feel that there's an element of threat there, or at least collaboration, which I think a lot of people are waking up to the fact that there's way too much collaboration between our bigger businesses and our government. And I'll be perfectly honest. I think it's an amazing amount of people are waking up to that, and more people are waking up to it every single day. So it gives me hope. That's one of the areas where I'm getting some hope for the future.
I want to talk about that in a second, but just the other point on that though is like, okay, if the government does negotiate these lower drug prices for any of the insurance offerings they have, Medicaid, Medicare, etc., what ends up happening with the drug prices for people outside of those programs, right? Do they end up going up, right? Do those prices get charged higher in other places, right? So effectively, just it ends up being another way to subsidize drug prices. It's in theory saves the government money, but like the rest of us end up paying for that in other places.
Absolutely.
So that's the other thing that I think realistically could happen in that situation, and we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, but
well, we have the model of exactly what's going on already with people that don't have insurance and are purportedly able to pay their bills with cash. They are certainly being charged more money. They are certainly being charged at a different rate than people that have insurance. Like
sometimes.
That's my complete understanding of it.
So sometimes it depends on the office, right? Sometimes the office, if they're able to, right? In some places you're not really allowed to do this, or some offices don't do this. Like, no, you have to go through insurance or all this stuff. But some offices will, like, you can ask for a cash price, and it sometimes lower because then they have a listed price instead of having to go through the rigmarole of like submitting all the paperwork and doing all the admin stuff and negotiating with the insurance company and whatnot. Like, you just pay for your service and walk away, and that's it. So like, it depends, right? And again, there are services that kind of help you do that, as I understand as well. But so it's not in a more free market economy, we do a lot more of that too. You'd understand what the price is going in, you just pay for that service directly, and you wouldn't have to go through the insurance companies, which in some cases end up driving prices higher. You'd think that the negotiating power wouldn't do that, but it ends up obscuring the cost of some of these prices and services, and ultimately driving that cost higher and incentivizing kind of inappropriate consumption of services sometimes, which again drives premiums higher.
You're sounding like a mellow, well-spoken Donald Trump right now. I remember when he wanted to have on the doctor's office, one of the things he was advocating for was an actual menu and price list of things that you were supposed to buy were able to buy from your doctor.
Yeah, so and that is supposed to. Yeah, no, that's one of the good things that he was in support of, right? And something also, again, when Larry Sharp talked about that in his 2018 campaign too, he's like, hey, that's a big reform that we could do. In New York State as governor, he could just kind of get a law passed, or
make an executive order. Do it, Larry. Make an executive order.
That's one thing. But you could do just price clarity is one of the one thing that could provide some immediate improvement to healthcare prices.
Absolutely.
So, and then you'd mentioned the point too about are people waking up to the relationship between corporations and government? Yeah, I think in a lot of ways too. I think I'm probably a slightly less concerned than you are, but we've had this conversation, right? We've talked about
this slightly less concerned than I am, but
I'm in favor of capitalism too.
Sure.
I don't like when there's things like regulatory capture or exemptions to laws, or the government forcing you to use a particular service of a particular company, right? Like those things, I don't like those things. I think they're worthy of criticism. But even within those big corporations that are worthy of criticism, there's also added value and elements of capitalism. My goal isn't to say forget all the corporations, throw them out, destroy them. We're going to get someone like Ron DeSantis in to go and wreck wreck them.
Oh,
No, I'm not that.
yeah. Look, I'm not. I want to be clear, Kevin. I have no desire to use your youth and inexperience against you in our formal debates about
Thanks, Ronald
about
Reagan.
the intent and intentions of government. Okay, like I get it, man. But also, like, oh my God, I'm losing my train of thought because I'm making myself laugh. Sorry about that, guys. There's a lot of issues and a lot of things to unpack here, but the government
Yeah.
is not your friend.
No, they're not. And I never claimed it. I just think there are corporations that, even the big ones, there's good elements to the value that they provide. And we brought it up today in like another conversation, but like the pharmaceutical companies, for instance, right? Like there's a bunch of shady stuff they do, but they also do provide like good value in some situations as well. I think
Absolutely.
the logistical like prowess that they can bring to situations like tackling a pandemic are helpful. I think it is also worthy
Yeah.
to criticize when the government picks like a single vendor to do, or a couple vendors to do everything, and
Yeah.
then
And
I get the criticism of exemption of liability. So again,
mhm,
that's sort of that,
that's
like
a bad
there
one, man. That's
there are
really
great
bad.
things that these companies can and do that I can't. I'm not with like the left wing and the kind of right wing populist criticism of corporations generally, like the stuff that's going on with like Disney World, like, and the government needs to kind of butt out of some of that stuff.
Sure. I
But
look,
yeah, but
authoritarianism
they're
is
I
authoritarianism.
sound like a squishy modder on this stuff, right? But like
Yeah.
that's what
No,
it
you
is, right?
do.
But like,
But
no, I'm a big fan of capitalism, though. Like
yeah.
I think that we should, as much as possible, like allow corporations to do what they're going to do, as long as it's not hurting people or taking their stuff. It's just
Yeah.
a matter of when they get the government cronies on their side to start,
What,
letting them get away with breaking like the law, that the actual hurting people or taking their stuff side. And this segues well into our other topic that we want to talk about, which is the censorship pressure, right? Again, and I
sure.
don't think that's on the it is a little bit on the companies, but like
Yeah.
when you have the government starting to step in and say, hey, you need to crack down on X, Y, and Z misinformation, and they don't directly threaten consequences, but they imply it.
Yeah.
It
Hey,
starts to feel a little bit sensory to me. It's
so I want you to hold that thought, but I want to hit one other issue with pharmaceutical prices that I a quick take on. I was discussing it with my kid, and we were talking about the intellectual property rights that would seem to be. I would say that some of these big pharma, it would appear to the layman and the average citizen, right, that that intellectual property becomes a problem when we're talking about pharmaceuticals and life-saving medication. And can we reinvent intellectual property so that there is incentive to develop new goods, yet there's still incentive to uh, make things affordable?
Oh yeah, I mean, like IP reform is a big thing. I'm not on the spectrum of like we should totally abolish intellectual property. Like
Okay,
I'm
good.
fine with it. Like
Me
it's
neither.
in the like it's in the Constitution. Like there's some things like you
Is it me, Brian Sutton? Can you hear me? I know that I'm actually disconnected from Clean Feed right now. Okay. Well, then let me talk till we get the Clean Feed back. Hopefully, definitely it's kind of like an attack on my First Amendment rights. That's an absolute reality.
I know the audio's out,
on here,
guys.
man. I don't know, but I can't hear
our Clean Feed link went down, and so our radio feed is gone.
My radio feed is gone, bro.
Can't hear me?
Gone.
Yeah, no. Kevin's back now too. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I switched over to the. I can't hear Tim because I think he probably muted the.
Can you hear me now?
Or no, I changed my audio settings so I wouldn't be.
I'm gonna I'll reload my Clean Feed.
Yeah, no, it's
I'm getting an away message from the Clean Feed.
Yeah, no, sorry, folks listening online.
We should probably apologize to the people listening on the radio too, right?
Yeah, well, we're not live on the radio right now, Tim. So Bob Angelo just messaged me and said internet went out. Rebooting.
All right. So I can go back to swearing and being my joyful, loving self and really send it, man. Okay.
Don't get into the habit. Don't get you got to put yourself in the radio mindset, Tim. Like don't.
All right, get rid of these chokers, all of them, every last one of them have to go, man. Like it's time to reinvent government in New York State today, man. Get out there and tell people they gotta go. I'm sure that it is. This is suppression.
Brian says you must have PO'd the government. That must be, man. The show, they're like, well, we see Tim and Kevin revving up.
Yep.
You know,
we
shut it down.
It's too powerful, man. Too powerful. They got to suppress our voice, just like they did to Alex Berenson. So that's a reality.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you for those people out there in the audience, man. I appreciate it. I get so nervous sometimes, and then when we get through these tough spots together, I'm just like so happy. So on a side note, Kevin, I'm heading to Martha's Vineyard to go watch whales and take a boat thing out on the ocean and like sit by the beach and basically touch grass and decompress. I'm looking forward to it.
That's such an online thing.
It is. Touch grass, nerds. I love it. But also, if you're not touching grass or getting outside and enjoying yourself a little bit, you're missing out on a big part of life. Like I'm an outdoorsy guy, but my wife's not, and she still needs this. She needs these reprieves from our day-to-day work world where we're literally she's saving the world at her job. And I'm literally making the future of green energy for you and your children. And look, I'm not a green energy advocate, but I'm not against green energy. And I think that's a perfect area where we get into these duopolistic arguments that don't make any sense, right? The promise right now by the World Economic Forum and our governing leaders in charge appears to be the future is going to be less for you because you're going to have to use less power. And that I think is baloney. I was going to use
there you go.
Word
there you
there.
go.
Huh?
I see what you did. No, and that's my big thing about like that type of stuff, right? It's like I'm fine with green energy. I'm fine with like some of this stuff, like trying to be more efficient, etc. It's when you get into that like negative growth mindset, like, oh, the only way we can save humanity, the only way we can save the earth is to contract the economy, is to make your life more miserable, is to do with less. And I don't think we have to do that. Like,
that's the
we have the capability to do more. And that if we had adopted the Malthusian mindset in the 1800s, where they're like, well, we won't have enough, we won't have enough food to feed all the people, so we need to like take drastic measures to do something about that. Like, imagine what the world would have looked like with that limited capacity to see the bright future that we ended up having.
Ironically, the Malthusian philosophy has been around forever. Like, and Malthusians see no irony in it. Like the Malthusians guys, people that want to advocate for a decline in the population. Okay. And look, the World Economic Forum has two well-known Malthusians, and that Klaus Schwab and his boyfriend there. they're both Malthusians. They both advocate for population reduction. So think about it. I'm not an advocate of population reduction. I'm an advocate of responsible. You do you, take care of yours, and do the best you can.
No, yeah, and it's like the idea is like, okay, like we're limited by the capacity of the earth, but every time you think that, like, because the whole thing is like food is growing geometrically while population is growing exponentially, right? Or whatever.
I think geometric progression and exponential progression are the same thing.
Am I mixing them up?
You're linear versus geometric. Ooh, maybe we're getting.
I think our feed is back, folks. So I'm going to switch back over to that in just a second. Although I need the program feed up, Bob, if you're listening.
All right, I'm here.
All right, cool. All right, welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, host for today. Thank you so much for joining us here on this wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. And Bob, if you can hear me, I need the program feedback on. And yeah, we're going to work on that for our online crowd. And yeah, so I'm just don't mind me here. Don't mind. But just switching over things. And so we were talking before the break about, I think,
we got a little sidetracked because we kept the show going like we're professionals. So I don't know what we were talking about before the break. We went through intellectual property rights, and I think we were moving on. It's the pressure, man. It's the pressure. On the inflation front.
On the inflation front?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. What are we good? Is there no more inflation?
Did
the Inflation Reduction Act fix everything?
We've got inflation on the run, guys. That's the word from the White House. It's on the run. It's down to 8.3% per year. And guys, no one predicted a decline in the inflation. No one. We have the Inflation Reduction Act to thank. And guys, massive interest rates. These things are going to fix inflation, and that's the reality. Get used to it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to happen. No, so obviously that's not the case, right? We're
It was. Inflation will just continue to break the middle class and start poor, and especially old people. Don't worry about them.
Yeah,
inflation.
It's a brutal thing. It's I was just listening to a show about like Volk talking about that and whether or not it's the right thing to do. And yes, that when you have to raise that much, it makes it harder. It makes it hard for businesses, and it makes it more expensive for you to get a home. Yeah, even the interest rates low 3%. look back at like what it would have been if I got the same mortgage in like 90s, and it's wild how high it would be. But again, it's something you could do to slow down the economy, right? So you could do the slow things down. It's not the only option. Again, you could slow down the money.
Like, that would be a nice thing. You could standardize some sort of thing, but modern monetary theory, guys, is what's winning the day. And look, this is one big, huge criticism that I had of Donald Trump, that he bought in, even though the first year period he wasn't going to, bought into modern monetary theory, that the government is the source of printing of money, and that the government's worth is what transfers value to money. And it's not that. It's never been that. And when they actually work hard at proving that, they create absolute economic disasters. And we're kind of in the middle. We're resourceful, and I know we're making the best of it. But this stuff happened because of government monetary policy, and it's not done. Like 8.3%, the Inflation Reduction Act is going to spend billions of dollars, and the IRS agents. Taxation is another form of contracting the economy. The IRS agents going after with due respect, lunatics that are saying they're going to go after big business with offshore banking. Like, that's not going to happen. That's not how this is going to play out. It's going to be the landscape guy, the contract guy, the neighborhood babysitter person. I mean, that's who they're going to get the money from, and it will contract consumption, and therefore
just
slow
with all due respect, lunatics.
with all due respect, you lunatics out there.
Yeah, but no, but you're right though. Like, again, like that is, and it's weird because that's, if you kind of not, you don't even need to really read between the lines of this, but they're like, oh yeah, we'll have all these IRS agents out there, and they will be collecting more money, and that will contract the economy. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, or that will like help with inflation? Like, yeah, but that's the argument is like, we're going to contract the economy by sending out more agents to thieve from the American public and pull money out of the economy. So you'll have less money to spend on extra stuff that's going up because more money chasing after fewer goods. Blah blah blah. Right?
Yeah. Was my use of the word lunatic persuasive? I do honestly, guys. I do.
No, it's fine. I just thought it was funny. You're like, with all due respect, you lunatics.
You lunatic. Come on, man. Like, you don't want your neighbors punished. You don't want your coffee barista to like get audited for the amounts of cash that they're taking home during the day. Nobody wants that. Nobody, but to not understand that that's the aim and the goal is to contract consumption. Okay, that's the aim of expanding the IRS, contracting consumption. That's the only thing that they have. That's it.
Well, Tim, let's be generous. The IRS all wants to take more money, so right? Like, so it's used that. That stuff, and that money's gone.
Beyond, man, they're gonna do it greenly. So like, they're on the spectrum of green, like they're nailing this green stuff, like they're making the most environmentally friendly bombs ever. And that may be somewhat of a misstatement of what they're saying, but I don't care, man. Like, go check out their Twitter feed. It's like embarrassing. Like, stop it already.
Yeah. No, what woke capitalism, like,
it went too far. Like, right. Raytheon went too far. And to call them capitalists, that's another one. Like, they're cronyist, man. I cannot separate myself from the fact that they make bombs. Therefore, they want bombs to be used so that they can make more bombs. And so they buy politicians that advocate for use of their product. That's
the military industrial complex is very much a real thing.
Sure. And the banking loves too. Like, hey, we'll loan money to you guys to drop bombs on each other. Then you owe us. We own your government. Like, it's some of this stuff, this Rothschild stuff, and it sounds crazy, but if you actually think about, banks have been financing wars forever. So
yeah, no, it's like this goes back to my theory about conspiracy. Is that like the actual stuff happening that like is like really evil is usually way more boring than you think.
True.
It's like it's less cloak and dagger and more like out in the open, telling you that like it's a good thing and like funny. It's all there.
Why am I laughing? That's not funny. I mean, it's observationally, there's humor in it, but like we're actually really talking about evil, right? Like we're actually talking about the desire to oppress and enslave and hurt people to achieve political goals, you know. So
Yeah, no, and that's and so something I always keep in mind. It's actually, you know, Ron, one of the things that I did appreciate about Ron Paul is I saw him talk at CPAC in like 2010, and he thought about like, hey, you know, we don't actually create value as a society. We don't build up our wealth. We don't like enrich ourselves by taking our money and sending it overseas and blowing it up, right? Like that's not what we do. Again, there are certainly people who enrich themselves from those activities, and we should, yeah, and I'm paraphrasing, and we should like cast a spotlight on those folks. But like us here, like we don't benefit from that. You know, we don't build up our society from that. We don't, you know, live longer, live healthier, live happier because of that. And so anytime, you know, and that's it was kind of in a talk in relation to like World War II saving us from the Depression, but it's people will talk about that and as if like investing money in like military production in the districts is fundamentally beneficial to the economy and to the country, and it's not. Sometimes it's necessary to have, you know, military equipment and whatnot, but like let's not pretend like it's a good thing economically to go and do that stuff.
Stimulation, you can hire me to come to your house and smash all of your windows out, and the local window guy is going to thank me. His economy is going to get stimulated, and then he's going to go out and buy some drinks and buy some food, and the restaurant guy's economy is going to get stimulated. But guess what? The wealth of your windows is actually better for the economy than me smashing them out and you having to spend money to buy new ones.
It is. All right. Well, thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Give us a call, 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. If you want to participate in the show, we got one more segment coming up. Talk to you soon.
Choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
As a veteran of the United States military, I can finally get the opportunity to enjoy special events, things that we couldn't afford, thanks to VetTix. Every empty seat at a concert, a game, or a play is a missed opportunity to say thanks to a veteran and service member. We can give our veterans a special event where they create their own cherished memories. Visit vettix.org. Find
Florida. We are each of the world, Kevin.
WYSL. Getting podcasts of your favorite WYSL shows is easier and better than ever. Use your favorite device, PC, mobile, or tablet to visit WYSL1040.com. Simply click on the podcast tab to select, listen, download, and share instantly. Works great with any.
We'll save this show. We will save this show.
Podcasts of all our local shows are easier to access and play, so share them with your friends. And thanks for listening anywhere, anytime to the voice.
That's what I definitely, the online audience was like, yeah.
Free solution on the WYSL stations.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor.
Here, brother.
And again, we're here on WYSL live till 2 p.m. and all of our places online too. Free Solution Facebook page, YouTube channel, group, Kevin Wilson pages, Tim O'Connor pages, all that. And we have a caller, Terry, from down in Florida. Terry, welcome to A Free Solution.
Hey, it's Butch.
All right, Butch. We'll take that. What's up, buddy?
Butch, I took a phone from Terry. Terry's a tech guy, and he was calling in to help with the tech situation. But you guys got to figure it out. So he said he's no reason to call, so he passed it to me, and it's Butch now. Hey, it's Butch. Hi.
Hey, Butch, what do you think of Ron DeSantis, man?
Sorry.
What do you think of Ron DeSantis?
Ron DeSantis is, I think what I think about him is he's a politician and a governor from Florida.
That's correct.
That's an accurate description.
Thank you.
So Butch, what do you want to talk about?
Well, are you guys libertarians?
With librarians. Something.
Yeah.
You guys are libertarian? Because I was looking into getting into it before, into libertarianism, because I noticed that I don't really like a Democrats. I don't really like a Republican.
Oh, we
and
love
then
you.
people told me about a third option, and it's known as libertarians. And when if you guys are winning, there's no rules.
No rules. Well, there are some rules.
Yeah. So we'll kind of give you that elevator pitch here, right? So
But you don't have to wear a seatbelt, right? You don't have to wear a seatbelt, right?
Yeah, no seatbelts. I'm definitely, if I get elected, Butch, I will repeal all seatbelt laws. I promise.
I hate wearing a seatbelt. I put it on and take it across my chest, and it's all pressing on my chest. And
yeah, mine presses on my jugular vein. I hate it.
So
yours is on your ears. You're a juggler?
No, mine presses on my jugular vein. Jugular.
Yeah. No, so it's like this, right? Like, if you want to wear a seatbelt, that's your choice. You take the risk of doing that. Yeah, exactly. So it's that you take the risk of doing that, and it shouldn't be a crime in which you have to pay a fine for or get pulled over for. It is your choice to do that. So it feels the same way about helmet laws. It might still be a good idea to wear one, but it's your choice to do
it's not a good idea to wear one. I don't think it hurts your chest and everything. But also, I was thinking it would be good to make it illegal if I want to go to a store and take something from a store if I don't have money for it.
Yeah, no,
that's the thing. If you hurt people or take their stuff, then that's
a problem.
That is a
problem. Exactly. Again, if you're doing something to yourself, right? Like it's the seatbelt thing.
But what about a corporation? Is a corporation isn't a people, and if I steal from a corporation and it's not a people, and who cares?
Well, people are still affected if people make up corporations. So I don't know. You're still stealing.
People make up corporations, but the corporations, once they become a corporation, they cease to become a group of people, and they become a corporation, this physical entity in it itself that does not have any sort of feelings and emotions of a human being. And we should not treat them with any respect of a human being, and we should take from them as much as possible.
I'm not following you. Can you explain that better? I look.
We got to steal from corporations and rob corporations.
Then the corporation would cease to exist in short order. Once the corporation ceases to exist, we lose the benefit of their product to society.
Yeah.
No, we take it over as the workers, and we seize the means of production.
You're confusing libertarianism with communism, bro. That's not going to work. I don't think.
It's called a socialism. It's called a socialism.
It's communism.
No, you're mixing them up now. You think you're smarter than me, but you mix.
I don't think I'm smarter than you. I'm not smarter.
I'm not smarter. Listen, Butch, this has been fun, man. But yeah,
I gotta eat a single egg scramble. You guys like a single egg scramble for breakfast?
I like talking about roads. How do you feel about roads, bud?
Well, roads is where you drive your cars.
Yeah. Well, what if we had flying cars, man? That's what I want to know.
Well, I have a friend named Joe Saba. He's a stand-up comedian, and I'll tell you what, he would be able to tell you what it would sound like if we had a flying car. But you guys would keep it going. I think one big issue they have is with libertarianism.
Yes.
Is that people think, when I ask them about them, and you guys deal with this because it's bad for your PR. People think that libertarianism doesn't want an age of consent law.
Yeah, I agree with that. That is a false flag that has been levered against libertarianism. Which I want to thank you for the call. It certainly was enjoyable talking to you. It was enjoyable talking to you, man. Take care.
Thanks, Butch.
I hope you find love in your life. In your life.
We will, bud. You will, bud. You too.
Thanks, Butch. Yeah, and just to address Butch's question.
What question?
Libertarians believe in age of consent laws. Like, yeah, most of them do, because like you can't consent if you're not an adult.
Yeah, you get
like I know they're some who don't, and they
give us a black
get
eye.
pretty roundly criticized even within the movement.
For
right?
sure. Then
there are some folks who really do think like no laws, no rules, like do what you want. Like, no. There are certain things. Again, I'm not an anarchist. I'm a limited government guy. So again, if you're hurting people or taking their stuff, and that includes taking stuff from corporations, which are staffed by people.
Yeah, I mean that's the point. Is you want to side corporations, in a sense, have some value to society. Okay, and I get that perhaps they have a distinctly high. Too much power, right? There's a little too much power there. We maybe have made some laws that allow them to apply too many regulations and collaborate with the government.
I'm sure there's bad incentives for that sort of behavior, right?
Correct.
Politicians and corporations, where it ends up being cheaper to get regulations written in a way that is financially beneficial to you than it is to competition.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly. Than it is to compete on a level playing field. And I know like sometimes like the entities around like creating corporations can be confusing. There's a whole like corporations are people thing, right? But they are made up of individual actors who can be hurt by theft and damage and anything else. And it's just the paperwork entity to like facilitate the production and creation of their goods that creates limited liabilities and whatnot. Again, I won't explain theory of legal corporation.
So look, we haven't even gotten to the most important subject of the day. We handled inflation, solved the inflation. Thank the government for more IRS agents to say inflation. Remember that. But the most important issue of the day we haven't even hit: litter boxes in schools, man. Litter boxes in schools is absolutely the most important issue.
What a way to wrap up the show. Yeah, I again, these rumors pop up every once in a while. Right? Like they're like, and you put a post out on your I think it was on like your personal,
my personal page.
But yeah, like. The thing about these is just when you share this, like take a look. Like, is this a real school? Is this really happening?
Is it? Really
I see it a lot. People are like, "Well, it happened in a school near me."
I see that too. And look,
like again, and this is a fake news item. We talked about like a few months ago.
I know. We did the
research. There was one, and it was like sort of real, right? Like there are kids like asking for this.
Yeah,
they're kind of asking to be jerks, right? They're playing a joke.
I certainly have the theory that the kids are actually running a pretty elaborate scam on us. I do think that there is a possibility too of one thing that may be causing the conflation of this issue, okay? And that there are kids that are actively trying to identify as furries. That is, I'm not sure how the school systems are actually handling that, but I bet it's fueling the fire for these rumors.
There are few kids who are gonna do that sort of stuff, right? And like that's gonna have to happen on a case-by-case basis. As far as I'm aware, no school has said, okay, yes, we accept that as your identity and we're giving you a litter box. Like I cannot find any actual evidence that ever happened anywhere.
I talk to kids, man. Like I'm like, and people are telling me like there's litter boxes in schools. I know kids. I coached for years. I know a lot of kids in the community. I'm like, are there litter boxes in your schools? And they're like, they just smile and they try to answer the question. I got a suspicion here, Kevin.
And that's just messing with. All right, so Tim, it's fun to have you on.
What a blast, man.
Thanks again for joining us, folks. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. I'll be back on Monday. Take care.